The history of Athens is a history of continuous transformations, more than of linear continuity. It is a city that has experienced moments of absolute centrality and long periods of marginality, but that has never ceased to exist as an inhabited and symbolic space. Looking at Athens today means reading a city built through stratifications, in which every era has left visible traces in the urban space. The origins of Athens date back to the prehistoric and Mycenaean age, when the city was born as a fortified settlement around the Acropolis. In this phase, Athens is a community governed by warrior elites, like many others in the Aegean world. The sacred hill serves as a defensive and religious center, establishing from the start the link between power and elevated space. With the Archaic Age, and especially with the 5th century before Christ, Athens experiences its most radical transformation. It becomes a democratic polis. The city is no longer organized around a palace or a ruler, but around shared public spaces. The Acropolis assumes a symbolic and religious function, while the Agora and the Nix become places of active politics. Athens defines itself as a community of citizens, founded on public speech and participation. This period, often defined as classical, is brief but decisive. After the Persian Wars, Athens becomes a hegemonic power, but this hegemony generates internal and external conflicts. The Peloponnesian War marks the beginning of the city's political decline. Athens does not immediately lose cultural importance, but loses control of its own destiny. With the Macedonian conquest and then with inclusion in the Roman Empire, Athens enters a new phase. It is no longer a political center, but becomes a cultural capital. Philosophy, education, and the memory of the Greek past make Athens a symbolic place for the Roman elite. The empire does not destroy the city, it preserves it as a living museum of Greek culture. The transition to Christianity and the Byzantine age profoundly transform Athens. The temples are reused, the city loses centrality, but is not abandoned. It becomes a provincial city, adapted to new religious and administrative structures. This phase marks a demographic reduction, but also a continuity of urban life often underestimated. Under Ottoman rule, Athens is a small peripheral city of the empire. It is not a capital, it is not an economic center, but it maintains a stable Greek population and a continuous urban fabric, especially in the areas of Plaka and Monastiraki. In this phase, the city survives more than it shines, but maintains the memory of its symbolic places. The turning point comes in the 19th century, with the independence of Greece and the choice of Athens as the capital of the new state. This decision is strongly symbolic. Athens is chosen not for its real importance, but for its historical and identity value. The city is partly reinvented, with new urban axes, state palaces, and public spaces inspired by European models. In the 20th century, Athens grows rapidly, often chaotically. Wars, migrations, and economic development transform the face of the city. The ancient past coexists with a modern metropolis, made of densely populated neighborhoods and contemporary infrastructures. The tension between the protection of memory and urban necessities becomes one of the city's central themes. Today, Athens is a European capital that visibly bears the signs of its complex history. It is neither a museum city nor a completely modern city. It is a space in which the ancient, the medieval, the Ottoman, and the contemporary often coexist without mediation. It is precisely this complexity that makes Athens unique. The history of Athens is not one of uninterrupted greatness, but of urban resilience. It is the story of a city that lost political power, but not symbolic meaning, that was dominated, but not erased, that became a capital not for what it was, but for what it represented. Athens continues to exist as a place where the past is never entirely past, but constantly dialogues with the present.